Hello, greetings everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Arlington Weekly News. This is our first show in 2018. I'm Craig Nolan. Thanks for joining us.
And I'm Inga Middleton.
And Inga and I are here to bring you another edition, the first of 2018 of the Arlington Weekly News. We thank you for tuning in and joining us here tonight on this, our first show of the new year 2018. Our usual stuff.
Happy New
Happy, by the way, thank you, Inga. Happy New Year to you, belatedly so, from all of us here at the Anchor Desk. Our news and community bulletin board, Adele Quo, the star of Easy Being Green, is on assignment this week, hopefully in the Caribbean or someplace very nice and warm and sunny, and we look forward to having her back next week. Our CBB file. Some music from one of our favorites on our Studio B segment, Mr. Jorge Serafin and his guitar, our News for Seniors segment, and then another little pre-taped segment, Look Forward and a Look Back. Or is it Look Back and Look Forward? Either way, we'll get that out to you around the end of the show. But before we begin all that, a social media, take two, social media reminder from myself here, if we can get the word straight. You can watch the Arlington Weekly News on our YouTube channel. That's youtube.com/Arlington Weekly News and the number 1, and also on Facebook.com Arlington Weekly News. And you can hear us also on WERA 96.7 LPFM. Tune in and check us out. All right, here we go with the first of our news item, news glasses in place. Well, Arlington Delegate Patrick Hope has proposed a bill in the Virginia House of Delegates that would redefine grand larceny. The bill would raise the monetary threshold from $200 to $500. Under current law, the theft of goods or money worth less than $200 is classified as a petty larceny. Petty larceny is a misdemeanor crime, and penalties usually include probation, fines, or lesser jail time. Grand larceny is a felony crime with more serious penalties, including at least 1 year in prison. Inga.
Thank you. Recent research among other states has suggested that a change does not seem to affect the overall property crime or larceny rates. Although Mr. Hope is a Democrat, identical legislation has been introduced in the Senate by David Sutherland, a Republican. The existing $200 threshold dates back to 1980. Due to inflation, that equals $600 today. Similar changes were proposed earlier in 2017, but were blocked, due in part to efforts by law and order advocates as well as lobbyists for retailers. Craig?
And due to inflation, that's kind of an interesting little buzzword. Well, here we go. Talking about the weather now, it seems like the weather has been colder than normal, and you're not mistaken, it has been very cold. Temperatures in Arlington dropped into the teens over the weekend, and the situation isn't likely to improve much over the next week or so. Daytime high temperatures are expected to range from the upper teens to the low 40s, while nighttime lows may get as low as the single digits, around 4 or 5 degrees. When you compare this with your average January temperature of around, or the average January high, I should say, of around 43 degrees and average low of 25 degrees, then you may notice the difference, as we all are. So hang in there, and hopefully the cold snap will be over soon. Inga.
Thank you, Craig. Yeah, it actually seems a little warm today, having
warmed up
had
to almost 30 today.
Yeah.
Yippee.
It was 8 degrees yesterday morning, so I'm a little happy about 32 degrees.
Myself as well. Your turn.
As you cope with the frigid temperatures, it's a good idea to double-check seals around doors and windows to help keep the cold from getting inside. Also, for pet owners, you'll want to keep your animals inside to the extent possible, and make sure they're adequately protected from the cold when they must go outside. For individuals, extra layers of clothing, including hats, may come in handy for assuring comfort even indoors. The saying is, try warming yourself before cranking up the thermostat, excuse me. Finally, a hot meal can help in 2 ways, especially if it involves baking. The eating part is obvious, but even after the oven is turned off, leaving the oven door slightly ajar can help provide a little extra warmth. Since you've paid for that, you might as well use it.
Absolutely. And it smells good too, right? If you're
Right.
baking some cookies, leave that oven door open just a little bit longer after you're done, and it'll heat up the house and it'll smell wonderful.
Agreed.
Okay, well, our very own Adele Quo is on assignment this week. She's away this week. So we hope she's having a wonderful time, and will rejoin us again with another installment, another edition of her Easy Being Green segment next week. So in the meantime, we'll charge right ahead. We're here with our CBB, our Community Bulletin Board file. Well, with the new year, it's time for a new session of Shut Up and Write, the series for young adults. This time, the theme is about writing characters whose humor, take two, who use humor to cope with things. For example, although some people say the path to be a finished book is fraught with peril, a humorous character might say, actually, it's fraught with pencil, red pencil that is, at the hands of your editor. Authors John Scovron, Jessica Spotswood, and Miranda Kennedy, and A.E. Kaplan will provide much better examples of this, though, then this event is coming up on Thursday, January 11 from 7 to 8:30 in the auditorium of the Central Library. They're located at 1015 North Quincy Street here in Arlington. The program is designed for adults, but middle and high schoolers are welcome as well. The authors will take audience questions after the session and have books available for signing. Sounds like fun. Inga.
That's great. Nice writing exercise. Thank you, Craig. Here's another presentation for adults. It's a deep dive into natural history about the moon. Our history and language contains many words and references to the moon, both positive and negative. After you explore moon lore and its relation to our culture from ancient times through the present, you'll never look at the moon quite the same way again. The event will take place on Thursday, January 11th from 8 to 9 p.m. at the Gulf Branch Nature Center, 3608 North Military Road, Arlington, Virginia. A $5 registration fee is required. For more information, call 703-228-3403. And Craig?
Also, in our CBB file, the next event is actually for folks on both sides of the parent-child generation gap. It's called Parents Night Out, but it's actually a way for children ages 4 to 11 to enjoy an evening of games, art, and fun. The program was created by teens making a difference who wanted a way to help parents and give back to their community. There's a small fee for this one, $25. They're asking $25 for this one. And this event will take place on Friday, June 12, take 2 or 3 or 4, January 12, from 6 to 10 p.m. at Walter Reed Community and Senior Center and Park. They're located at 2909 16th Street South here in Arlington. Information should be on your screen there. To register and for more information, give them a call at 703-228-4747. Inga.
Thank you, Craig. It looks like a fun event. I would love it if my kids could take advantage. They're too old. Anyway, the year 2018 is the 100th anniversary of the end of the First World War. Author Michael Kazin will lead a discussion of his book, War Against War, which tells about the Americans who tried to stop their nation from fighting in one of history's most destructive wars. The event will take place on Saturday, January 13th from 3 to 4:30 p.m. in the auditorium of the Central Library. Address is 1015 North Quincy Street, Arlington, Virginia. And you, Craig?
All right, Inga, and also in our Studio B segment, in our CBB segment, too many B's here. The Studio B has had a number of performers over the years, from Michael Ball and there's lots of good folks there, through Camille Morrow and even the Two Blue Band. And here's another performance from one of our favorite guests on Studio B, Jorge Serafin, and he'll be, will be, performing his original composition of Sky Doors. Check it out. that's good.
Yeah.
Very nice. Thank you. That was Jorge.
Very nice. That was beautiful.
Jorge, one of our favorites on our
Loved
Studio
it.
B segment, Jorge Serafin and his original composition of Sky Doors. Thank you,
Very
Jorge.
nice.
And just a call out, shout out there to any other artists, musicians, singers, drum players, xylophonists, I don't know who would like to come down and be part of the Arlington Weekly News and be a guest artist on our Studio B segment. Come on down. We'll be glad to have you. Okay. Here we go now, as promised, our News for Seniors segment. Well, Langston Brown Senior Center is hosting a weekly program called Ask a Nurse. That's starting Tuesday, January 9 from 11 till noon. It will highlight different health topics and give attendees the opportunity to ask health-related questions on many topics. Registered nurse Joy Walker, a home health and hospice nurse, will answer questions. Tuesday's topics will be COPD, chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, and CHF, chronic heart failure. This is being presented at 2121 North Culpeper Street here in Arlington. For more information, address and information should be on your screen there. 703-228-6300. Inga.
Thank you, Craig. Talking to a nurse is always helpful,
Always.
I'm sure. Meredith McKay of Northern Virginia Legal Services will discuss ways seniors can protect themselves from fraud and theft. The presentation will take place on Tuesday, January 9th at 1 p.m. at Lee Senior Center. Ms. McKay will provide advice about actions to take in the event of a privacy breach. Questions are welcome. The address is 5722 Lee Highway, Arlington, Virginia. To register, call 703-228-0555. Craig.
And also in our News for Senior segment, adjusting to single life after the loss of a spouse, divorce, or a loved one, or an empty nest can be tough for anyone. Arlington Mills Senior Center is presenting an interactive class coming up Wednesday, January 10 at 7 in the evening to help strengthen support systems, build confidence, and secrets to appreciating alone time. Participants will receive a customized list of resources and an individualized action plan. This is taking place at 909 South Dinwiddie Street here in Arlington. To register and for more information, give them a call at 703-228-7369. Inga.
Thank you, Craig. That sounds very reassuring and nice to have that resource. Have you ever thought about writing a short story, an informational article, or starting an online blog? 2 different writers will share personal accounts describing how they followed their passion and started to write at a later age. Each writer will also offer tips on how to get started. The program will be held on Friday, January 12th, wish it was June, at 10 a.m. at the Walters Reed Senior Center. Address is 2909 16th Street, South Arlington, Virginia. To register, call 703-228-0955. As always, thanks to Judy Masabny of OSAP for providing this week's Senior Stories.
As always, yep. Thanks, Judy. We appreciate your efforts. And we look forward to another installment of News for Seniors next week. Okay, we'll be back with, if we have time, for a sign-off and bye-bye right after a little roll-in entitled A Look Forward, A Look Back.
It looks like we are moving into a new year, but actually a new year is moving in whether we like it or not. At any rate, it's a good time to take a look back as we prepare to look ahead. The story of the Arlington Weekly News began back in April of 1981. Things were different then. The show had only a single used camera with a separate video recorder unit, and sometimes one of the crew had to bring in the single microphone for audio. The set consisted of a small, dusty room on the second floor, surrounded by wire lockers and containing some leftover wooden furniture, probably from one of the high schools. It was all that our main supporter, Comcast, would provide at the time, but still, somehow, we got a show out almost every week. By the end of the first year, volunteers had built a set and a news desk. It may not have looked like a high-budget network show, but at least it looked like something. Years went by, our budget grew, and our equipment became more elaborate. Our cast and crew also changed as people came and went. Some who went came back, while others are simply no longer with us. The rise of the Internet gave us new tools and new ways in which to reach our audience. The establishment of our YouTube channels gave us a way to preserve some of our work while making our shows available on demand. However, the expanding technology also resulted in more competition for the attention of viewers. More cable channels, more online networks, more news and entertainment sources. Our expansion into radio may have helped stem the tide a little, but it's like pitting a creek against an ocean. Then, in the past 2 years, we suffered losses. The first of these was the passing of creator-producer Don Hammond after 35 years. The second has been Comcast's decision to stop providing us with facilities. This will add around $20,000 a month to the cost of keeping the station alive. In addition, the Arlington County Board has informed the station that it will reduce its support by 5% every year. Looking forward, it seems at the present time that the road ahead is not nearly as long as the road we've traveled. It's been an enjoyable adventure, primarily because Don Hammond always kept the chores manageable and imparted his sense of fun to each weekly shoot. Our goal was to do a good show, but also to enjoy doing it. Some people wonder how many people actually watch Don Hammond's Arlington Weekly News, and we don't have a good answer for that. Cable subscriptions only suggest a maximum possible viewing audience, but we have no rating system for accurate information. Our YouTube channel has a mere 40 subscribers, and the actual views of a given show in 2017 usually hovered around the 10 to 20 view mark. One can hope that the cable TV and radio versions reach more people, but we really can't tell. Therefore, as we look into an uncertain future, we're reaching out to the community. We'd like to know your thoughts and suggestions about what kind of show Don Hammond's Arlington Weekly News should be. What segments do you like? What segments do you dislike? How can we make the show more interesting and enjoyable for you? For that matter, if you think the show is okay the way it is, we'd like to know that as well. The question at the bottom of everything is anyone even watching? Please email us at arlingtonweeklynews@gmail.com. That address again is simply spelled out arlingtonweeklynews@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you, whether your reaction is positive or negative. Meanwhile, we'll keep on trying to put out a good show every week for as long as the road runs. As always, thank you for your time.
All right, well, we may or may not have recognized that voice as our very own Hef Munson, who's our producer now, and thanks, Hef. That was a really nice look back at a great history lesson.
Very good
as Inga
history
was
lesson
saying,
for me.
about the inception
novice.
and the continuing efforts of the Arlington Weekly News after 35 years. So we're going to keep it going here as long as we can, and we hope you enjoy some phases of it. But let us know. Check out that email address and send us your comments, your thoughts, and we'll be glad to get them. Anything else to add before we go, Inga?
Just pray and cross our fingers. We're going to be here for a while.
We're going to be
hopefully.
here when we're going to stick with it. So if
have
you're
to-
there, we'll be here and we'll try it all again. Thanks for watching our first show for 2018, and have a safe and prosperous new year in 2018. We
Happy
hope
New
things shape up, and sooner or later it's going to warm up, right? We hope. So we hope you're staying warm and healthy, and have a great 2018. That's
Yeah.
our show next week. If you're there, we'll be here, and we'll try it all again. Have a safe week. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.